Test, 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 test. I got a microphone on here now. Here we go. I had a long time to set that up. I see I'm on here. I want to talk to you. I'm not eating right. Canned junk food. So I'm not Green Party right now. I'm liberal. I got a lawsuit against me because I went on a rent strike. I can't afford anything because they're not listening to anybody. You got a housing inflation system here, and this is what I'm eating. Man can live long, but not on that junk. Open some of those cans and they're stale. Thank you, Salvation Army, but that's not what I want. So, oh, there, I just lost the signal. No. Personal stuff. He was right to block me. Let's get back to the thing here, to moderating me. Eating nutrition and food is everybody's responsibility. The food banks are starting to fail. I had a house and it was taken on me because everybody's scrambling to get another house. Your family will take you down. No, I don't get into my personal business. But this is happening to a lot of older men and women. They're losing their homes to family. He was a counselor here and he's still working, but he's using e-commerce. But I can't get any e-commerce because it's overrun by people that are always busy. Zoom call and I never came on. I'll have to rebook. I haven't got time to rebook. So I know I'm on Canada pension, right? I don't get any personal. But I deal with the federal government. I came from Ottawa where I got my education. I got to go out there. A lot of things are thrown out. I got to get them to follow. They got things in here. I haven't been paying rent. Why should I? I got a choice to eat or live. Okay? And this is what we're facing. This area here went wacky. I go to the council and I said, do you know anything about the economics of this town? Used to have manufacturing here, right? What happened to it? Well, the Ombudsman of Ontario and I had chat unpartisanly about this. Unions wanted more money. And management said they don't have any economic knowledge. Workmen need to understand the bosses have got economists in there. The Collingwood shipyard went out in 89. I was driving back and forth talking to CEO and executives of that company. Yeah, they were liberal. But Paul Martin was the one ship they launched here. Let's talk about this. This town was always liberal, and they got mad and got the conservatives in there. But nothing seems to be working right because they are going by location, and Collingwood. Well, everybody's escaping the city of Toronto, and I don't blame you for coming up here and enjoying the weather and the parks. But things are falling apart at the seams. I talked to the mayor accidentally. She said it. Men don't listen much. No, they don't. They don't. Building a big condominium where the shipyard, grain elevators used to be. I'm in Collingwood right now. I'm getting a bus up to Ottawa, and I won't go for friggin' Toronto. I don't like it. I've been robbed there. They had a phone picked out of my pocket. Call the cops. They got too much to do to hunt down a $1,500 iPhone. So I lost it. I didn't have an insurance plan on it. I was traveling from Cape Breton. It's not good out there, and there's no jobs. Ontario's got jobs. Maybe. But no. This job market here, not very good. I want you to understand the economics here. These are chefs in these fine restaurants, really good things. People like to come here. partake of good food and enjoy the weather and Blue Mountain Village. But Collingwood was falling because it had multi-income stream businesses. It had manufacturing at one time. What happened to it? Out Brothers Out. I saw strikes going on all the time. And our conversation broke down to this because she's nonpartisan, the Ombudsman in Ontario. I talked 2 hours to her. I'm not a Green Party or anything. I'm just out there because I'm ready to leave Canada. And I found the place I want to live. It's Tamborine Mountains because of all the things I've studied. But I'm taking my assets. I was in the music industry years ago. I'm meeting some of the old boys and looking at this music and I'm listening to Gen Z. We really don't like that. The new generation coming up. And I'm understanding this worry. Oh, that's a Gen Z girl. I'm a Gen X. Oh, yeah. I'm a boomer, maybe. How old are you, son? Don't want that Gen Z girl. Because the Gen Z girl might be getting off the Mind Hack media boxes. I go to a bar there. They're nice young people running it. They have, I like going in there. And they don't have Wi-Fi. Ooh. What do you think of that? They got windows. People, oh, there's somebody to talk to next door to you. Now, there's places where Wi-Fi is good, you know. I can go down to Starbucks. I got good Wi-Fi connection. I can work. Tim Hortons, the Wi-Fi is a bit weak. The library, oh, that's as weak as soup. So just carry your own Wi-Fi, you know. Go on the road, but you don't have to work all the friggin' time. Bit of the economy is to listen to and talk to people and get what's going on. I'm talking to a lot of younger people that are living in rooms. And then she says, it's not landlord class. I'm just buying shares on the economy. No, it's blind. So we need to regulate the housing market. I don't like the common sense revolution. Am I an environmentalist? No, I'm an economist that says we need regulations on things. Walkerton? Like here's common sense revolution. I remember that. You removed all the barriers to a system that would put well water beside a pig manure. They died of E. coli, 8 deaths. But you blamed it on the one guy that you didn't put a boundary on. Well, Mark Carney's putting a boundary up right now. I'm going liberal. And I'm looking at I want to travel and do business. I'd rather live on the road, take a bus, or take the train. Like the train to Vancouver is prestige class, about 10,000. A lot of money. If I can write it off if I'm traveling and working with Wi-Fi. Okay. So we got AI, but how do we use it? Well, you put the humanist connection to it and understanding things and learning about biases. That thing stops dead with biases. Opinions. You ask any political question, you're not going to get an answer. So you got to go unbiased and think of a new system. Now, I hear a woman reading Carney's book, but I used to read books, okay, and I do a synopsis. I said, for crying out loud, do a synopsis. You wrote it down on pen, points, but did you join the dots? You're a very intelligent older woman. I'm glad you read the book. And you just need to learn a little more critical thinking. I'll tell you why I'm against the Canadian psychology and trying to fix yourself. I'm meeting young people that are the mold of what we need. They're they diagnostics of a clinical method says autism. Diagnostics of an entrepreneurial level says computer program coder. We need people on board like that. Our kid doesn't need medication. He needs a job and working. And he doesn't need his mom to take him to a clinical psychologist and look at this factor. He has deep focus. So where did deep focus go? About 2002, Steve, he came up with the Facebook, right? And then he started putting lights in, right? So I'm reading Carl Newport. Makes sense. The millennial without a unicorn with a horn. He's just thinking he didn't buy in to social media as a tool. I don't buy into it either. Scrolling is an addiction. You got to face that. And debating online doesn't seem to be working. You got Mark Carney in a clown's uniform. Boy, Mr. Dress Up. It doesn't work in a platform, in a room where I went to college and we had a debate. I couldn't really go, bing, and you're a clown or you're a fool. I couldn't do that. So that's the echo chamber system. Software is so creative. They do this all the time. So they're shoving information up our butts all the time. One opinion by how many people? There's no clarity there. So let's take all this conversation offline. I'm mediating like Steve Boots is. And I'm glad for Steve Boots getting in there because he's a boot to get the blocks out of the bias system. So let's talk here. You're liberal, you're conservative, you're Green Party, you're NDP. But in the present moment, what are you? Homeless? Living in a room? Can't afford anything? So Mark Carney said, get rid of fossil fuels? No. Right now we're in a system of fossil fuels. Transitions never start with, he's got to be a centralist, Steve. He's got to be a centralist right now. As soon as you get into an undemocratic system, you use popularity to get in. But Mark's doing a good job, I think. He's born in 1965. I'm born in the year of Steve Jobs. Personal information, that's all you need to know. And Mark's younger, but I'm listening to him because he studied economics. Bank of England, they had problems. No silver in the banks, right? No silver. They stole it off of India. Let's face it. They had to give it back. He probably knows that. There's no real tangible assets that went into a Bendix system. Broke away from Ireland. Ireland stayed on the euro. Listen to me. Ireland stayed on the euro and they're doing European trade. The euro dollar developed. What were they doing right? The GDP was a hell of a lot higher in the United States. At the time, I saw it at 2.4. Ireland went up to 36% gross domestic product. What are they producing? Well, they're not really getting into Keynesian externalities. They're blending things. I noticed some things I liked. Cash on the barrelhead. Here, you just get the cash and use it. It seemed to be a good budgeting method. That's how I used to live. The only way you can use digital currencies is have your phone always unlocked so you can see what's in there and keep maybe a separate account for certain. But that was one thing. The other thing, they were looking at a market that this new world is getting into, and that's processors. They built a lot of technological processing for computers. Australia will recover. It's a large corporation. So these two investors made money, came up on iron ore and deposits. And then they looked at it. Well, let's get into the renewable development programs. Well, bloody well, green the outback. And you do it. Well, when you got wind and sun and that's your economy, that's not an. And then I found out the Australian, I'm really interested in studying Australian MBA in business. Because Mark Carney's inspired me to study economics. And I keep on listening to other young people yelling at me, F this, F that. Keynesian, Keynesian. Well, let me study the Keynesian technology and the economics of that. AI says that's the way to get the market rolling. You got a lot of money coming in. You're producing widgets. But now it's not the time for Keynesian. So I look at the Australian economy, they have a blended model of economics with Keynesian. And they look at the weather forecasts of what's going on. You know, those sheep ranchers in Queensland need to have to lower the market. We have to change it. We have to flex it. It's starting to work. And I'm on Patreon and I'm listening to a lot of young Australians that are making sense. This country's got one hell of a lot of apathy of young women. Nothing I can do. Yeah, you can't even get along with your girlfriend. You cannot get along with your girlfriend. You got your fake back turned to me. I'm talking to you. You say the housing market's too high. What can I do? But you're showing your backside to me, sister. Turn around and talk to me, but you can't look at me and think I'm the enemy. Because I might tell you got more gumption than you think. So what sort of woman's that for a guy? Huh? She looks pretty hot. She's a blondie. But she has no respect to talk to an older man that's trying to help her. There you go. She's sitting on the side of the dock and I was looking at her butt end. You could boot it. But that's rude just talking with your back turned to me because you don't like what I'm saying. I'll tell you, sometimes my brother didn't like what my dad said. You got no gumption. You went out and ran out. Listen to your dad, maybe. He says, you have some stoicism to be a man instead of letting your partner suck you dry. You can be too soft. You can be too weak. You got to really get your head together. What's right for you, sister? You're bitching and whining. I like to drink wine, and I'll drink it with you. But I don't want to hear you whining and speaking for your butt end. I want to hear you talking to me and looking at me. Am I against you? You don't know how powerful you are. You join up with other women, you might get somewhere. And I get in a bar there, and I'm just paying attention to myself. Well, she's 27. The guy says, hey, you old guys are getting young women. She got money. I haven't got much money. I get discounts. She's coming over there, and she says, this is the latest hip-hop tune. I'm going to play it because I like you, old fella. She's 27 years old. She's my daughter. I'm just varying things here. Do I want to date her? Looks nice. She's blondie. But she turns to the woman sitting beside me and says, you bitch, you're sitting beside my boyfriend. That's his wife over there. She's 39. So there was a time when young women were a sisterhood of joining up together. They weren't talking like this. And I don't try to pick up your girlfriends, guys. I'm just the guy that's indicated that you're not talking to them right. No, I'm just an old fart, maybe. I'm just sitting there drinking beer, watching a hockey game in a sports bar. And these girls are coming over because you're muffing off and trying to be armor all. Take off that suit, son. You might get somewhere and start listening to all this social media. How to be a man stuff. Oh, how to be a man, how to be a man, how to be a man. Well, it depends on your timing. So I don't like a couple words I will not take. Dude. I'm not a dude, son. I've rode horses in every damn sport that you can think of. I've been dragged through the mud. I've fallen off and I've got up and cowboy up. So don't call me dude because I'm not wearing a Stetson. And don't call me Tex when I wear a Stetson. I'm not a dude. I've been in horse racing, I've been in equestrian, I've been in draft horses. Every damn field, Hanoverian, anything that works. I don't get racist in horse breeds. If that works right now, I'll use it. Draft horses might be the answer with biological powering it back to farming. As in the 1970s, the fuel prices went up. I couldn't even afford to run my Dodge Barracuda. So I went up north and I studied a course on draft horses and how they could be used and implemented. Well, what are we doing now? We got a bunch of boys sending them over to Japan. Is that value? Is that value the economics of shipping horses by air to Japan? Value. A lot of money there. How much do you get on the head for your draft horses that might have to replace tractors? But we're living in an economic economy. You have a choice. You do have freedoms. Some men went back in the 1980s to draft power. Why? Because the variance of fossil fuel prices going up. I worked in an industry, and I said to the boss, he was listening to me, I empowered myself with my own knowledge. The taxi company was running on really extremely high fossil fuel derivatives. Well, I look at the price of liquid propane. Well, I'll try that. And then he started seeing the propane prices were starting to increase. He pulled out. He quit and retired. How much? $16 million. He didn't have much. His dad left on the taxi company. He was in squalors. He didn't know what to do. And he made money listening to me. Being a horseman and a kid that grew up on a remote farm, I looked at the weather conditions. And if you want to really understand economics, listen to Being There by Peter Sellers. Listen to what they're talking about, the economics of sun, spring. When things die off, you let them rest. So we had a COVID virus and everybody's still full of guns. Can't figure their heads out. COVID virus is open, but you go down the road and they're still attached to that COVID virus with and driving really fast and mindlessly. It's road rage all the time. The cops sit up on the balcony there. You boys get back in that car right now, or I'll arrest freedom both of you. It used to be a unified country when we put flags over those freeways. And we said, honored our troops coming home. The unity of sadness. I listen to soldiers. I'm listening to a lot of them. So I didn't know this. I'm going to tell you. popular voting was to bring the boys back home. The Canadian Armed Forces had the Taliban locked down. They weren't really ready to hand it off to the United States. They had them locked down. This was let's hold them a little longer. No. Trudeau pulled them out too quick. Because of popularity. That's the way you got to run a country. Popularity of a democracy, of a coalition government. And now we're at this point. But right now, who's the best man for the job? Well, it's not anybody's telling me food banks are all right. I don't think that's right. But I'll tell you something I like that the Green Party did. 2 ridings. One's in Kitchener, it's green. One's in Guelph. That's the corporate companies are building up there with some investment schemes. One company called me. That's that's an investment asset if we can get it going. Green renewable energy. Because they could move in there when the Green Party got in. So that worked, Mike. Schreiner was right there. But when he starts saying food banks are good and an older woman says, I don't think so, Mike. I don't think so. He came in, he didn't even look at what he gave me. Do old people eat cat food? Open the can, it was friggin' cat food. They're just throwing anything in there. Soups and cans. I eat these, they're viable. And I got papers on the floor that they never came around and told me why anything. It's like not eating. The Wi-Fi budget, and I'm trying to start a business. Not eating. Well, thank the grounding. I got this furniture free, and I don't want it. They can have it all back. Why do you get furniture for free? Because of the hustle economy of value. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it. The economics there. So they sell it, and I'm not really liking it, really. Let's throw it on the side of the road or drop it off on a depot where we don't want that stuff. So you don't have any time to think. So the value of anything, a high-ticket item you buy, a sofa, a couch, you take a picture of it or put it on a list, come back 6 weeks later. Does it resonate with you? That's a value. So there's an artist, he paints. He studied under the famous Carmichael, I think it was, Group of 7. He's been painting for years. And I go up there. And he says, what's the value of these? These are just little paintings. $366. I got lots of them. I talked to another artist. He's not going to make any money. Listen, I pay the $366 to take the painting home. He puts it in a frame. Take it for 6 weeks. See if it resonates with you. So he's using that old school thing. Yeah, it's Group of 7. And somebody said, no, he's doing copies. Well, I looked at those paintings. He's using red tones for the sky, ocean, and the sky of the Great Lakes. I think that's a variance of a study in ocean in reds. That's not a Tom. That's not the Group of 7. But he dated his foundation on that. So is art an invaluable asset? I think so. I think so. It gains value maybe, or it maintains value like insurance does. Insurance is a backup to your economic system. So Doug Ford, they're calling them the red progressive conservative. They're painting them in on Twitter with because he's not with Alberta, he's going to lock down lower the price of whiskey and stuff on the shelves. He's taken them off. He's opened up where I can get a bottle of wine or beer or anything, in a grocery store. And I work with craft breweries. Okay, I'm going to support the craft brewery system. I'm going to support Canadian whiskey and liquor. Alberta runs on rye whiskey because there's a lot of corn rye out there. Collingwood was working on a brand mash called corn whiskey. We can't call it bourbon because that's an American brand. I looked around, where the hell's the Collingwood Mist? Well, it's a derivative of a starch factory that was making starch and sending it to the Collingwood Mist. It's really nice whiskey. It's smooth, very, very smooth. I always liked it. My favorite beer? Well, she kicked me out. She doesn't like my political stance. But it was the brewery over there. But I go into Boston's Pizza where I get a good deal. And I'm 65. No, I'm 70. And they go in there and the bouncer says, "Sir." "Oh, thank you, sir." And the bartender, he's 1 year younger than the age I got married. And he pours me, you've drank quite you've had a pizza? You've had a couple of glasses of whiskey? Want beer? You want coffee? It's on the house. And look at the bill, Greg. Look, because we're amalgamating these. And where do I get the beer from? It's from Lot 9. It's one of my favorite ones. That's a Creemore Brewery in Creemore, Ontario. It's on tap. I'll buy it. And I sit in there and people come up and sit beside me and talk to me. Young people and old people and in between. Now, I've been across Canada. I don't want to hear this tax saving garbage. Oh boy. And I just said, you stole their bloody land. Well, I don't want to pay their tax. They just want their land. They don't want their land. So I go over to another bar there, and there's some Rama. They're not First Nation. They're making money. They're not big, and they're not the ones that are calling them dirty Indian. They're just Rama making lots of money off of gambling and thing. So I said, "You boys, First Nation? Hell no. Second Nation. We got credit cards and money." And Prospector, they called me. Wow, I got a new cowboy name, a new indigenous name. He's dead, Gordy Downey. They call him Starwalker, but he's in the stars. I'm just Prospector looking for the gold. Neil Young singing Heart of Gold, but I'm a Prospector X. So I was just thinking what Prospector I was learning from Kentucky Thoroughbred boy teach me we need bloodline to mix him with gold up there in Woodbine. And they say, "You like Woodbine?" Yeah. I said, "What do you think of Manitoulin Island? They're First Nation there. Have a shot of with tequila, buddy, because I call them freshwater Newfie." Freshwater Newfie, interesting. We got money, but hey, boys, you gonna pay up here? Mm-hmm. Pull the card up. That one don't go. Well, let me. Oh, here's my card. I'll go. There you go. Good one, boys. Thanks for the tequila. Knowing what a Second Nation empowered man is. Second Nation. Because he's making money on gambling, running shows up in Rama, and making a lot of money. Still a native. This one right here, he's Haida Gwa. He's learned to make money. Goes out there and I want $50 an hour. You won't get her. You won't get her. Because the bar, chefs here are making $26 an hour because of the housing market. Why don't you move on? I've moved on everywhere. Well, just stay there. But the bartender over there says, Greg, I think he's doing all right. Poor Indian. They're handing him money. He's averaging $250 a day. Maybe he's making a bit more than those. They said he's a bum, is he? Panhandle. Ojibwe. But I'm starting to wonder. He makes 26 an hour here. Yeah. And then I look at the tip prices. Woo! Change the tip here? 24, 20, 22, no, 18 maybe. Or maybe you should lower it to 15. I'll give you 15. Oh, thank you. What's the Australian method? They don't make much money, the waitresses and waiters and stuff here. So we pay them more money. And then we can be mighty on the tip. I've seen businessmen go up to the CN Tower. And they're sitting there, and he gave her a 10% tip on a really expensive meal. Sir, we require at least 15 to 18%. Oh, he took it back. And when we had pennies, he saw a penny and a half and gave it to her. There's your tip. A gratitude. You start asking for more money, just like unions do. Out you go. But, giving a tip is all right. So let's talk about values. I'm going to share up some values here. I pay my accountant with the income I'm making on a multi-income stream computer. I tip the waitress 22%, but I'm only paying my chartered accountant 7%. But is he of value to me to automate the system? I'm paying a lawyer 7% on contracts and deals. Is it worth more than the 18 to 22% on the tip? Lay it out, measure it, wait. These computers can be multi-income streams. You can run them, everything on them. He's saying work more, being a workman. But sometimes the guy might want to put the uniform of a nomadic Canadian businessman on his book with a laptop computer. I think that's what Mark Carney's talking about in the synopsis of everything here. Right now, the federal system, I could use a taxation system. Taxes aren't evened across the provinces. Taxes in Ontario are high. If I move to another province as a senior, I have to be resident there. I think this is a good deal for seniors that want to travel. And I don't buy into living on Canada pension. It's not enough. It doesn't matter how much. And then you see guys on there saying, the egghead man, he looks like an egghead, saying, they're taking all my money. How long are you going to live? Are you going to have a pension? Well, if we could stabilize this economy, by the time you reach retirement, then you can live well and not look like an eggman with fat attitude. You could look like a retiree who came for retirement and a home. Eggman. I'm the walrus. So what do I want to do now? Well, I put together all my qualifications. I'm a holistic practitioner, internationally certified. I'm not in the ivory tower camp of non-integrated medicine. I'm in the camp of what works. So I go up to Camberine Mountain and live there. And I'll make money doing that, and I'll get my Australian pension in. and I'm going to start studying the Australian music industry. I had an offer to work and promote be her manager. She needs more than a manager. She needs a producer, knowing I've had that background. And my old school, do I throw out the DAWs? No. But I take a bit of the old school of tape. And because the clipping levels are high and overcompression is what I'm noticing. We want Australia to have an audiophile community of good music. We've got some great artists in Australia now. And what's her name? You got to listen to some of the music that's coming out. And it's just flooding in. What I think is go to high-grade vinyl and CD for a while with good high-end audio. So that provides another industry for the high-end audio business. Reduce the market system so people freaking afford them. Have their own houses. That's an economic value. To put a record on the turntable and listen to this band. Now it's to get rid of the streaming systems. Don't have to. You can offer it on streams and use it as promotional. The other thing is I love 10-inch 45. 45s when I was a kid I got introduced to Elvis Presley. The first one that he came out with. But it was a 7-inch and it wasn't that clear. 10-inch, whoa, really good sound, good cartridge. Master, good turntable, good speaker systems. Fit your house or your villa or your room or your condominium. It varies with the amount of volume you need and what your room size is. So I'm looking at Australian value. And then I hear hip-hop music, and they're on Patreon. She's a politician, a young 27-year-old in Canberra. Listening to hip-hop music, he says it's $100 for a carton of eggs. Really? And I listened to the Prime Minister saying we're stopping gouging. Stopping gouging, Prime Minister. Wonderful. Because, when price goes up, they gouge. The gouging here, models we can learn. Stop the price gouging in stores. Put a limit on it. And when prices go up, they go by supply and demand economy. Stop the gouging. I used to buy apples here when I was a kid, when I was working. They were $25 a bushel. They're $80 to $100 a bushel now. But they make more money selling them by one apple at a time for $1. Everybody's got to make money in this franchise system. Franchises can work. Tim Hortons is a franchise. They can work. But the material substance of that coffee's got to come down, right? So we'll probably have to get a coffee not from the United States. I was reading that. Tim Hortons got good coffee. So is McDonald's. But so is some local breweries and blending coffees. The coffee shop I go into all the time, I didn't know where he was from. He's a brewmaster. He knows how to make espressos, everything. I love coffee. You can sit in there and entrepreneurs go in there and talk. I listen to people. I said, where did you learn to be a brewmaster? Seattle. Came to Canada. And you're listening to all sorts of music. I like your blends. You're going right back. And he says, how far do you go back in music? Horse and buggy days. And his wife fell off the table laughing. No, I'm listening to you're playing some rudiment music there, and you like it. You're listening to uh, uh, T-Bone Walker Foundation before Chuck Berry. He took it and made double stops, right? Did you know that? No. Well, you get into the roots, the boots of everything. And people are going in there and they're liking the music. Sometimes it's jazz. So I play a little jazz piano. Try. But I got a lot of learning yet. And I just noticed I'm not getting that nutrition. I used to be able to play piano for hours. I get exhausted because I'm not eating right. So what's the value? Eating this stuff that's not really, you can't be beggars and choosers. It's only sustainable until I'm out of here this month. So Greg started saying you got to make a forward motion instead of bitching. I bought a bag for that piano. I got to pay the cellular phone up. I'll have to notify Rogers I'm moving out of there. And I got to get some money in. So I wasn't getting any business program yet. I was relying on it. We'll do a Zoom call. But we're all booked up now and I'll have to cancel. Oh, well, I can't wait forever, so I can't pay the rent here. But then I started using AI and I was putting factors into it that a lawyer might miss. They said, tell me about your brother. He gave you $20,000 so you could go to Australia. Yeah, because I had half the house. You stayed there for not paying rent. How much did you pay? AI said. No rent. I was living there because I wasn't getting anywhere at the damn social services that went up to Barrie. She wouldn't listen to me. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But then I didn't have enough knowledge. And I was wandering around and I was living on park benches, sleeping, staying out of the house until he went to sleep because I couldn't get along with him. He wouldn't listen to me. It was like Chancey Gardner. Personal account of my life. No, we didn't agree on things. And then I started working with Canadian military and I didn't agree with what he said men are meant to die. I don't think so. Can we get these boys sound? Can we get Canadian and American military sound? I'll tell you something. I think once they're sound, they're resilient businessmen. I saw a billionaire that was ex-military. He's gone for trauma. He gets some cognitive therapies that might help him. He gets on his feet, and the cognitive garbage is starting to have a resilience, a strength. So he makes a leader, and he makes good decisions. Well, Carney, I don't think he's a military man. But I'll tell you something. I'd rather get our Canadian forces sound and replace them with those Wimbos that have no resilience to answer the phone. There's no resilience there. Please, we have mental health problems. We don't want to hear you yelling at us. Oh, we won't yell. Do you hear me? No. Do you hear me? No. You hear me? Bang, hang up. Listen to what I was watching there. He says they caught him on film at a Walmart. And the civil liberty lawyers there and they're saying police brutality. Well, I heard a mantra, put your hands behind your back. We see they knew on the screen that he had a $1,000 computer. And anytime I've seen a arrest taken now, sir, I'm not, you are not, I said, put your hand behind your back. I'm going to cuff you. How many times did he repeat himself? 10 times, 20 times. 20 mantras of put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands, repeating. Now, next stage. Taser. Zzz, oh, police brutality. But I got the evidence that it was on film because that's permissible evidence in the Walmart store. So, how many mantras did I have to use? Law and order is the law of the land. You don't go and steal a computer, buy some swack or Krubs. I'm walking out of the bar there, and he says, "Can you give me some money?" No, I can't. Can you call my buddy? Yeah, I call him up, and he gets me in the dark, and he says, "Let me use the phone." He takes it out of my hand. He says, Oh man, I dropped it down the sink drain. You idiot. Oh, I know I'm an idiot. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm angry. So I start using this EFT tapping. Calm down. I go over to the store there. He says, "What's he look like?" I told him. Well, let me call the number. It's ringing. It's not down the train. He says, "Do you take the law in your own hands?" No, I don't think so. I'll get the cops up here. Why are you leaning up against the wall, sir? Because I'm tired. Yeah, I had a few drinks. You're right to check me out. Listen, I'm only asking you. There's no law going drinking and walking home. But I want to get the story right, so I'm listening to him. And he says, you know something? I called the phone. It's working. It's an iPhone 15. I walk out of the building. 2 cops there. You got my phone? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we found it last night. And then I get the phone home, and I did have TikTok on it. Boy, these guys are knowing how to graduate out of sleeping in an alleyway, snorting crack cocaine, and they're now in a jail cell. Because he was taking pictures of them. Look at the iPhone 15. I got it, and I buy lots more dope. I got her bag of spanky ganky. No. So is it wrong to have police? No, I don't think so. I think a civil society. I don't like seeing cops getting shot. Like I talk to the cops. You know what they say to me? They don't like you, Greg. Your politics is not theirs. Well, they might be stupid. Says we like you because you're thinking of us and not escalating the drug system. Well, the drug system's caused by an overinflated housing market. Social media is a good variance of anger, rage, and everything. So Greg's a plant-based diet guy. And I'm sitting there and, "Hello, my friend," he says. "Oh, hello. What are you eating? You want some beef?" "No, I'm a vegan." "You F off." "Oh, I'm not telling you can't eat meat." "Well, I gotta keep on explaining myself because of PETA going out there. So I go in a vegan restaurant there. He told you that? Well, I can understand it. PETA is an extreme group of people that don't have any variances. It's like me saying you can't drive that car, it's fossil fuels. That's not really a good system. I can't go up to a girl and say, "Quit smoking, it's bad for you." I can't go up to you and tell you, "Quit drinking, it's bad for you." People have to come into their own. So in the value economy, put the gold out there and let them see it. You know, it's good to wander around. I've traveled Canada. I've listened to a lot of people from coast to coast, from Cape Breton Island to Vancouver Island, and then back out to Alberta. And the Flems are right. Calgary does suck. The rest of the place is not too bad. But I got a problem. Chestermore had self-government, right? Municipalities have to self-govern. But no, she's starting to regulate them. So she's breaking out of an economy if the thing goes bust, called grassroots economics, that a municipality can't self-govern and self-rule. And where's her money going? Danielle Smith, the oil fields. So here's another variance I'm going to look at for Alberta. You had one of the best healthcare systems I've ever seen, but you're not paying doctors and nurses enough. So Danielle Smith's up on questions. Food security is one thing we got to consider. That's a value. Alberta has a lot of ranches, a lot of good food. That's a value. It's not just the oil sector. We got a multi-commodity system. Jorgen Peterson comes out with the Fraser Institute that's pointing to one value. So Jorgen Peterson's a clinical psychologist, but I was getting answers from a business psychologist. What's the value? What's your skills? What you talents? You seem to learn on your own in a digital format on a computer screen. I'm always taking courses online. So my next value is to get my MBA from Adelaide, as I'm building value on this. Colonel Saunders was 72 when he made the KFC. There's a lot of people older than me that have made money, even though they're stuck on stupid political systems with tax lobbyists. Because they never saw value in me putting me into a business of a self-employment as an entrepreneur. So let's take a look at how many entrepreneurs have left Canada. They build businesses and new startups. It's quite a few. The Canadian population, there's lots of room for you kids. Because seniors and older people that want to be retired gainfully don't want to live on food banks like this. They get a flight out and they leave. And after so many years, they don't come out. After 6 months, you're not contributing to the Canadian high taxation system. I'm Australian descent, and I'm British descent. I can go Britain, or I can go Australia. But I'm looking at what I like. And I think Australia, Queensland's a good opportunity for me. So as I'm not living in Brisbane, it's so high priced. But I'm looking up there in the Tamborine Mountains, the work I do, and they have good Wi-Fi everywhere in Australia. We've got dead zones in Canada. We need to work on our Wi-Fi and cellular systems for a good economy. But, I can get a hub and I can probably carry it with me. I have no money. It runs out at the end of the month. I had to do a digital minimalism. I took things off and I added things. I said, is this of value? So minimalism is not to throw everything out, but put things of value that you can contain. So don't throw everything out. This is a long video. And I see I'm getting a signal on here. So I'm talking about Canadian values. I hope this is enough to say for now. I'm glad to get that on. I'm up to 58 minutes. A lot of information. It's just, like Eckhart Tolle, it's the frame I'm trying to hook on things. I'm showing you variances of things, but it's one hook. And that's what McLuhan said. Is it the media or the message? Or is it the form? Interesting. McLuhan had a document I found on a PDF doing research. It said, Prime Minister Elliott Trudeau, this will be used against you for the oil elites. Well, apparently it looks like it has been, The media is the message. Look at Toronto Sun and Toronto and Calgary Sun. They're both together now. They've been together since 2015. And they're attacking CBC. They're attacking LA newspapers. Who, who's attacking what? So a nonpartisan political system might work. There's no biases. But you see biases in good journalism. Nobody wants to hear the truth. So you're in the ivory tower of your ideologies and not asking what you need. The gift horse economy. Think about it. I want to study, get an MBA. He says you don't need it. No, you're in franchises, Englishman. Your wife's got an MBA. She does everything you tell her. Maybe you should listen to your wife. Might be right.